Prime Minister Modi goes to China after 7 years. What exactly did he achieve? And from his meeting with Xi Jinping, what did India gain? The big context. Friends, Modi's visit wasn't just another foreign trip. He met Vladimir Putin, shook hands with Erdogan, joined multiple global leaders. But the most important part, his one-on-one bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. At a time when India has tariff tensions with America and China is eyeing India as a rising competitor, this meeting carried so much of weight. So what actually happened inside? Border calm, the biggest breakthrough. You know the story. India and China have decades of border disputes. After Galwan, tensions hit boiling point. Missiles, drones, hundreds of thousands of soldiers deployed. War felt just one trigger away. So now, in this visit, Modi and Xi sat down for 40 minutes. The big takeaway? A commitment to calm the border. Modi stressed, differences should not become disputes. The border must remain peaceful. For that, Xi Jinping agreed. They discussed disengagement and said future clashes must be avoided. Both sides promised more talks on these. At first glance, this may sound small, trivial, but think about it. When leaders personally commit, armies can be told to stand down without losing face. That's a reset India and China badly needed. Trade. The numbers don't lie. Now money talk. India and China are huge trade partners. In 2024, trade touched about $138 billion. But listen carefully, India exported only $14.9 billion worth goods and services to China, while China exported a massive $114 billion worth of goods and services to India. That's a trade deficit of nearly $100 billion, or in Indian rupees, 8.3 lakh crore rupees. Friends, back in 2003, the gap was just $1.1 billion because India and China were not trading much back then. But then both countries decided to keep differences aside and trade. Result? Today, $100 billion worth of trade deficit India is facing. That's the scale of imbalance. So this issue was raised in the meeting between Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi. And Xi Jinping didn't brush it off. He told Modi, okay, let's fix this. China said it wants to increase Indian exports to China, cut dumping and make trade more balanced. And India responded positively. Of course, we will have to wait and see if promises turn into action. Travel and people-to-people wins. One practical gain, direct flights between India and China will restart. After Galwan clashes in 2019, air services were frozen, especially after COVID, but now both countries have decided to restart it. Who benefits? Students, tourists, business leaders. More than 1.2 million passengers could travel with ease. And visa rules may also be eased. And India secured permission for smoother access to Kailas Manas Sarovar Yatra. Development and cooperation. Xi Jinping framed it in simple words. We are not enemies, we are development partners. Modi agreed. Both sides said cooperation in technology, research, infra and connectivity should move forward. Xi Jinping even stressed, together, India and China can positively impact 2.8 billion people across Asia, which is population of India and China combined, 2.8 billion people. Now, will every project move smoothly? Probably not. But the tone shifted from rivalry to partnership. That is very important. Strategic partnership on global stage. Xi Jinping also pushed for strategic alignment, not just trade, but joint work on global platforms like BRICS and SCO, and in the United Nations as well. Remember, in 2026, India will host the BRICS summit. Xi Jinping confirmed full support for India's presidency. But at the United Nations, it will be very interesting to see when next time India moves to put sanctions or declare somebody as a terrorist, Pakistani-based terrorist, as a global terrorist, what China will do. Until now, it has been the big hump on the road for India. But now, after Xi Jinping's assurance, it will be very interesting to see whether it will change or not. Beyond bilateral, global politics. This meeting wasn't limited to India-China issues. They discussed regional and global challenges, climate change, Asian security, and even cooperation in multilateral platforms. They didn't mention Trump, that we discussed Trump's tantrums, but really, how can they not talk about Donald Trump considering current global trade situations? And then here's the most important part. Xi Jinping even requested a special separate meeting between PM Modi and senior Chinese Communist Party leader Kai Qi. That's Beijing signaling this trip wasn't routine. It was meant to be a political reset, a special political reset. Because Qi Kai is no ordinary guy. In the Chinese Communist Party's power structure, he is almost second to Xi Jinping. The takeaways, what India gained. So, what did Modi actually achieve? 5 key gains. 1. Border calm commitment. First, de-escalation and disengagement talks. And second, trade traction. China admitted the imbalance, the $100 billion deficit India is facing in trade, and promised corrective steps. Number 3, flights restart. Around 1.2 million people to benefit. Number 4, cooperation roadmap. Technology, infrastructure, connectivity and research. And number 5, global stage support. China backing India's BRICS role in 2026. But we have to keep in mind that these are not the instant results. These are not results. These are strategic openings. The real test is what follows next. Do troops actually step back? Does trade deficit really narrow? Or do we just get nice headlines? The balance. What did China gain? Here, China gained too. Xi Jinping secured border stability, continued access to the Indian market, and looked reasonable on the global stage. Right now, for Beijing, calm with India means more focus elsewhere, Trump and especially Taiwan. So overall, this visit doesn't erase decades of mistrust instantly, but it bought breathing space. And that itself is a win, if we can say that. The coming months will show if this was history in the making or just a pause button. And friends, if you found this breakdown useful, hit like, share with a friend who follows geopolitics, and subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, are you optimistic about this India-China thaw, or do you think it's temporary? Let's talk. Thank you so much. Let's meet again. Namaste.